Fly side, is there the high drive? Deep center! Go! 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 We're out of here! We're out of here! Say ya, playa!
Just like they drew it up in Hollywood. Caladros, the 3-2. Swing and a miss! And the Audubon Green Wave have upset the Kingsway Dragons! And this is it for good! The Audubon Green Wave are back in the Final Four! A dog pile on their side!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DW Broadcasting's coverage of men's varsity.
From our entire crew, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, folks.
30 degrees sometime this afternoon.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Paul Sixth High School. We have a thrilling second game of this WJYFL championship weekend between the Pemberton Hornets and the Lawrence Cardinals. Of course, Lawrence just had a heartbreaker, earlier this morning in the 90-pound division, but those kids are getting a little bit bigger, and those kids are getting a little bit louder in the 110-pound division. Neither the 1 nor the 2 seed is being represented this afternoon. Bordentown, the number 2 seed, they lost in the quarterfinal to Lawrence, the number 3 seed, and the number 1 seed, Haddon Township, they lost in the second round to Pemberton. So it could have been a 1 versus 2, but instead, upsets reigned supreme. And now we have a 5 versus 3 game where Pemberton upset Northern Burlington 6-0 in the first round and beat Haddon Township 20-19. They won their first playoff games by a combined 7 points. Meanwhile, Lawrence, as the 3 seed, beat Florence handily 34-7, and then shut out Bordentown 27-0. As Lawrence will get ready to send this one away for the second championship game of this 4-game slate. Lawrence will kick, Pemberton to receive. Ball gets deflected off of the foot at the 46. And Pemberton, the Hornets, will take over. Led by head coach Jimmy Meller and assisted by Bruce Scott, Ryan Tangeman, Sidney Harris, Mark Stillwell, Billy Van Dunk, and Tony Hicks. But the 110-pound division as a whole definitely went through some shifts in this past season. Of course, like we said, the 2 undefeated teams in the regular season aren't even represented here tonight. Lawrence was 7-1, and Pemberton was 5-3 in a group with Florence and Palmyra as the other 2 teams hosting that 5-3 record. Here comes a handoff to the middle, out to the 50. And a couple big hits there.
In about 1 seconds, the opening seconds of this 10-10U matchup. The ball, second down.
So they do get about 4 yards on that play. Don't forget, we'll be here for all 4 championship games. If you missed the first one, Lawrence fell to Belmar 7-0 in a defensive gauntlet. The only score of the game was in the first 4 minutes, and then everything else was just all goose eggs from there. From midfield at the 50. Handoff of the middle again. Finding some space. Looks like that rush was by number 0, Micah Holloway. I mean, Pemberton is kind of an oddball in South Jersey, just geographically. It's in the middle of nowhere up there. I know good friend of ours in the South Jersey football community, Kevin Emmons, lives up there. But I mean, Pemberton is kind of in that middle ground of Burlington County, up near Browns Mills, as the rush on 3rd and short is snuffed out at the line of scrimmage.
This will bring it down. Hornets on their opening offensive possession. 4th and 3.
So just getting started here in the first quarter. Pemberton in their first set of downs. 4th and 3. They're lined up at the 45. Handoff up the middle, gets squashed, and that will be short. And Lawrence will take over for their first possession of the afternoon. So Pemberton stalls out on their first drive, didn't get too much going, and now Lawrence coming in here, like we said, as the 3 seed, 7-1 on the campaign. So Lawrence starting their first drive of the night from the 44. Don't forget, if you've got some high school aged kids, you might want to tune in on Thursday, December 5th, as DWB unveils its 2024-25 basketball schedule. Got a penalty against Lawrence before they even broke from the huddle.
Participation penalty.
That's odd. Illegal participation penalty. That's interesting.
We have a timeout.
So Lawrence will burn their first time out of the half very early in the first quarter, and no score as Lawrence still looking to get their first offensive snap of the afternoon. We'll be right back here on DWB. Back on the air, Lawrence calls their first time out. So a 5-yard penalty for whatever an illegal participation penalty means brings up 1st and 15 for Lawrence as they now will get ready for their first snap of the afternoon. The handoff by quarterback number 8, Zachary Lampley. Second and 9 now from the 45. A gain of 6 on that last play by the Cardinals. Cardinals got a pickup of 6 on that last rush. Again, the quarterback for this Cardinals team with the black pants, bright red jerseys, sending a man in motion, Judah Caesar. And now Lampley drops back. He is in plenty of trouble, dropped deep in the backfield by the Hornets defense. The Hornets nest picks up a victim, and it is all the way back at the 34 as the 5-yard penalty from earlier in the drive reappears. And a big loss of yardage on that play brings up 3rd and about 15 back at the 38. This broadcast is brought to you by Garden State Pet Center. Keep your pet happy and healthy today with the most organic food products available in South Jersey, along with toys, cages, accessories, and much, much more. Visit 7 days a week at 226 South Whitehorse Pike in Audubon. Lawrence lined up from the right hash on 3rd and long in their own territory, and some very, very obvious jumping there, and wow. I thought we might have saw a jump on the defensive end, but instead, a false start on Lawrence creates 3rd and even longer. Also, if you're a small business owner interested in advertising with Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, we are offering and have always offered advertising opportunities for small businesses in South Jersey to get on one of the most prestigious and up and coming independent broadcasting organizations in South Jersey. As here comes a handoff to the, no, we got a pass to the right. It is, no, I think he trapped it. That's incomplete. The pass was made by number 82, Corey Balcom. Not sure who picked up that one or who ended up almost intercepting it, but the pass was made by Balcom. It'll be 4th and long. They will opt for the punt option. And Pemberton holds Lawrence to their own, holds the feet to the fire, and that'll bring up the punt option for 25 yards. I believe, like I said, I have not been covering youth football a lot this season. We've mostly been covering high school football at this level. But, however, believe that these two levels, the one before us and the 110s, are the only two levels that exercise the punt option. After that, you start to have those real shines of special teams units popping up. Pemberton's right around midfield. They're at the 49 on the opposite side, in the I form. Dropping back. A little bit of happy feet there. This is picked off. Picked off by Lawrence on the first play of the drive on a pass attempt. It's picked off by Balcom. I apologize. That is the quarterback, Lampley. Zach Lampley. Not only is he the quarterback, he's been playing both ways and picks up an interception here midway in the first quarter. And how about some great blocking there by the wideout, Corey Balcom, finding ways to just make more yards out of that. I mean, they got a net gain of 4 yards. Now back up to the Pemberton 46. Things are kind of reaching a stalemate at midfield. So a punt for Pemberton, and on the first play that Pemberton runs on the offense in this drive, ends up being turned over for an interception. We're now back at the 46. Here comes a handoff to the right side to number 5, that being Noble Rogers.
At the 32-yard line.
So he gets up to the 32 for a first down and then some second effort there for the Cardinals. As we were saying before we got interrupted, Dan Wilkins Broadcasting is always looking for small business owners who are interested in advertising with us. We have over 70,000 annual viewers and over 7,500 social media followers across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It's a great opportunity for your small business to get advertising opportunities and to be on the air in all corners of South Jersey, from Salem County all the way up to Mercer County and above, even in the Jersey Shore. To get your business more exposure, send us an email with an inquiry today at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. That one ends up getting snuffed out behind the line of scrimmage. That email is also listed in the description of this YouTube video along with our Venmo for anyone who would like to make contributions. We're an LLC that runs on a small business platform with internships being provided to South Jersey aspiring broadcasters all throughout the state, from the collegiate level to the high school level and beyond. We create opportunities not just for the kids that are on the field, but for the kids off the field as well. Our Venmo is DW Broadcasting, if you would like to make a contribution. Of course, not at all required, but it is an extreme level of gratitude, if you will. Second and long after a loss by Lawrence. Cardinals now lining up from the right hash at the 35 in the I form. Handoff to the right side. Finding some more room is Rogers, and a very noble play indeed. He gets 5 yards up to the 30. That'll bring up third down and pretty manageable here for Lawrence. These are Lawrence's only 2 appearances of the day. Lawrence appeared and fell in the 90-pound championship by a score of 7-0 to Belmar. And then Belmar will remain in the final two championship games of the day versus Northern Burlington for the 2 o'clock game, and then Hopewell Valley for the final matchup of the afternoon. 3rd and 7. And off to the left side, he will try to dive forward. Balcom did not get too far. He was able to scamper back to the line of scrimmage, but nothing further. And that'll bring up 4th and 9 as his knee was down his knee was down for a 1-yard loss.
They're 25 down, 12 game matchup between Belmar and Norton. Take care, closer to championship with Belmar again, facing off against Hopewell Valley.
Lawrence lining back up on 4th and 9. They are at the 31-yard line. They will keep the offense on the field with the quarterback Lampley, who also has an interception to his name in the first quarter. They hand off. He's got some space. He's got plenty of room. He's got a couple of tacklers. And the ball comes out. I think Pemberton picked up the football. If they did, they'll be inside their own 15. Lawrence is able to make the recovery after the rush by number 0, Gavin Bruno. So Lawrence is able to squeak out of that one. They are in the red zone now at the 17-yard line. If you're joining us from home, be glad you're joining us from home. It's 34 degrees here at PVI High School. It will get to a very nice 38 later today, as the handoff is a very nice one indeed, gaining about 5 yards. And Lawrence putting themselves in better and better positions on every play. And it's like we said, they are pretty solidly in the red zone, fitting for the bright red Cardinals. Pemberton making some personnel changes before the huddle. At the end of the first quarter, Lawrence puts themselves in a good position, but they have not found the scoreboard. They have not found the end zone yet. The scoreboard reads with 2 goose eggs. Here after 1, it's Pemberton and Lawrence tied at 0 here on DWB.
To make their way down.
You know, it's funny we talk about huddles as we return to the second quarter here from Paul Sixth. It's funny we talk about huddles because there is a member of my family who is pretty instrumental in the history of college football and a very unnoticed part of football. We'll talk about that in a second. As the rush by Balcom does not get too far. Lawrence was in the red zone at the start of the quarter. They now are at third and mid-range. So a distant cousin of mine, um, excuse me, a distant cousin of mine is a gentleman named Bill Carpenter. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1982, and he was known as the Lonesome End. So he played at Army West Point. First of all, Lieutenant General in Vietnam, but um, when he was in college football at Army West Point, he was nicknamed the Lonesome End because Army would use this tactic of placing him near the far sideline and leaving him out of huddles. Well, you look at the Lawrence players right now, everybody but the center was in that huddle. Now they just broke and they're ready to play. So he wasn't a center. He was, they call it a split end. That's not a position that exists anymore. But he is the reason why, in all levels of football, everybody but the center has to be in the huddle unless you're running an up-tempo offense. So they get this one up to the 10-yard line now, and it's fourth down. But I realized in all of my years, well, all my limited years of covering high school, college, and youth football, I never publicly made the connection about Bill Carpenter. He's 87 now. He's living up in Montana. Tells a lot of stories about his college football days, but um, he uh, was inducted to the College Football Hall of Fame in 1982. But I like to think that that's part of the reason why I'm a broadcaster, because I've got some family who, you know, the impact of his days in college football, you're seeing it on every play.
We have a timeout on the field called by Lawrence.
Lawrence calls a timeout. They burn their second. We'll be right back as it is 7:57 left in the second quarter. Still no score, but Lawrence inching towards the end zone. No score here in the early stages of the second quarter. Pemberton and Lawrence, they've been going back and forth. And the quarterback for Lawrence has even picked up an interception against Pemberton. He's got some room. First down marker is up at the 6. I don't think he got it. It was definitely not enough. And Lawrence is stopped in the red zone, and the Black and Green Hornets will have another chance with this game scoreless.
We're getting another shot at offense here. About 7:36 remaining in the half.
By the way, if you're a Pemberton or a Lawrence fan, not going to be any youth football action for the Hornets or the Cardinals after this game, as Belmar has representatives in the latter two games. Make sure to check out the DWB Classics playlist. It's a playlist on our YouTube page consisting of the best of our broadcasts, from walk-off home runs to buzzer-beating three-pointers to slap-shot goals to ice the game. There are so many more opportunities and so many great games that we've seen that we have to archive them all. So make sure to check out the DWB Classics playlist to see the best of Dan Wilkins Broadcasting after this game. That's what I always redirect people to in a rain delay is I'm like, yeah, well, we'll be gone for 45 minutes. Go check out GCIT Gloucester from last year, Mark Hallman's game-winning 3 or something like that. Always a fun thing to talk about. Of course, we celebrated our 3-year anniversary as a company back on October the 5th. David, you were there for both games, a doubleheader. Camden East Side at Pennsauken. We left Pennsauken at like 3 o'clock and drove up to Manchester Township for our first ever Shore Conference football game versus Rumson Fairhaven, who is in the state championship for Group 2. They're playing, I believe, on Sunday at MetLife Stadium. Not at MetLife, at SHI, Rutgers. Yeah, the state final schedule for New Jersey high school is weird this year. They played, I want to say, 4 games yesterday at MetLife. Now they have to play 2 more on Sunday at SHI, and then they have another one on Wednesday. I mean, a Wednesday state final in December? It's a bit odd. I think it's the Group 5. Might be Winslow and Phillipsburg being played at Rutgers on Wednesday.
Task here.
But either way, 2 quick rushes of little gain brings us to 3rd and 7, as this might turn out to be very similar to the first game of this day's events. Might end up being very defensive minded. I thought we saw some movement there. He runs into his own man. Some friendly fire stops him short, and this will be 4th down and mid-range.
The 11th, to say 4th and 1. About 5.5 minutes to go in the first half.
If this game goes scoreless to the half, as they'll go with a punt option here, this would be just the second game. It would be just the second game in DWB history across all levels of youth football to be scoreless after the first half. The other one, David, you worked on it. Camden Eastside Pennsauken. That was the only other game in our 3-year history of covering youth and high school football that the first half was scoreless. Because you don't see that too much, especially in these 10-minute quarters. The clock just runs. I mean, we're already 15 minutes into this game, and the broadcast has only been running for 31 minutes. So these guys are keeping, knock on wood, a very good pace. First and 10, Pemberton shifting on the line. And we've got penalty markers as it'll be a false start on Lawrence. Lawrence firing up their players after the penalty. We've got flag waving on both sidelines here. Oh, the guy got wrapped up in the flag down there, one of the coaches. I guess in youth football, you can have some mascots, but if you can't afford a mascot, just wave a flag.
Hope never dies, St. James.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about, St. Joe's. You talk about St. Joe's Prep, the high school, or the college? I think the Big Five tournament's coming up soon with Drexel, LaSalle, Villanova, St. Joe's, and I'm missing the other one. Penn? Yeah, Penn. Is that at Wells Fargo? Might have to go to that. It's 1st and 15 after a Lawrence false start. Now the rush to the left side. Still finding some room on his feet. Whistles finally fly at the 29 as a rush made by number 5, Noble Rogers. They are able to salvage some yards, and they now bring it to 2nd and 8.
There's 6 quarters, there's been 7 points.
You're right. 6 quarters, only 7 points. And that is 5 consecutive quarters, at least to this point.
We're getting up to the 25-yard line.
Of course, this place was jumping on Wednesday night for the Turkey Bowl. You can see the signage still on the other side of the field. They never took down the banners. That's what that green banner is for WIP, their 6th Turkey Bowl. Last year was Haddon Heights and Haddon Field. This year was Camden Catholic and Paul Sixth. I think they've only done Jersey games because I don't think Philadelphia, those schools, I don't think they do really any Thanksgiving anymore. I mean, there's rivalries, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think they got rid of that Thanksgiving aspect entirely. A rush up the middle gets stopped at the 25. The first down marker is at the 21. So it is fourth and mid-range. I mean, they're inside the 30, so they cannot opt to punt. And why would you opt to punt? It's a scoreless game late in the first half. I say roll the dice a little bit here. Lawrence out of Mercer County, looking to find some life here in what has been a very cold and a very scoreless first game. The rush to the left side is going to get stopped for a loss and a turnover by Gavin Bruno. The rush comes in. The rush is stopped. And Pemberton will take over on downs. I mean, those Pemberton jersey numbers are almost impossible to see. The stop was made by number 18, Caleb Golightly. And now Pemberton will have another shot on offense. 3:04 left in the first half. Still scoreless as a handoff to the right side. No, we've got a fake. It's over to the right side, hugging the sideline. He's got some blockers. He's got some room all the way up to the 35. Pemberton picks up a first down. A resounding first down all the way across the field from their own 30, their own 25.
In the first half.
That is a gain of 35 yards to the right side. I apologize. The jersey numbers are almost impossible to see.
Thanksgiving game between PBI and Camden Gap.
So they're at the 40. As 3 men in the backfield. Handoff. Up the middle. We'll get about 2 yards. But, I mean, nothing against the Pemberton folks in general, but, I mean, those jersey numbers have about the same clarity as an MC Escher painting. It's just not... I think it's an American flag design on the back, if we just look at the bench. Yeah, it looks like a sort of American flag design on the back of those jersey numbers. But like I said, it is hard to see. At least Lawrence, it's black on red. That's at least a little bit manageable. But yeah, nothing against Pemberton. That's just kind of talking to a brick wall about the jersey numbers. Speaking of a brick wall, this will be stopped hard at the line of scrimmage. Third down. And Lawrence again standing up on defense. I mean, the thing about the 90-pound game was that was a matter of who made less mistakes. This might genuinely end up turning out to be a matter of who can have the better defense. It's a very similar score, but a very different storyline, a very different motive, or I guess you could say a very different motif about how these two games are shaping up. Both are very low scoring. You can't get lower scoring than 0-0. But with a minute 20 and counting in the first half, Pemberton is going to try to go into the halftime break on a high note. And off to the right side. Again, met at the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 9. Does not succeed. The Hornets call a timeout. Their first of the half. We'll be right back after this with a minute. Okay, there we go. The clock was a little bit off. It's 1:01 in the second quarter. We'll be right back. Fourth down with 1 minute and 1 second in the fourth quarter. They will pass up the middle. It is incomplete. Did not find his man, and that'll be another turnover on downs.
So far has been played inside the 30-yard line.
They are lined up straight in the middle at the 37. So very good chance that this game, I mean, think about it this way. For those that are maybe a little bit more familiar with our older work, we were here for the WJFL championships in 2021, 3 years ago, back when I had no beard and I was a sophomore in high school, and back when my voice was about 2 octaves higher. The playoff bracket from that year, the 2021 85-pound game was a lot like the last one. It was 6-0 and NBC beat Gloucester. Let's go back here as, ball comes out on the option. The ball came out, and now Lawrence still has it, and the clock will continue to run with 45 seconds left. But then you look at the 100-pound game, which is equivalent to this division. Belmar crushed Gloucester 28-zip. They were the 1 seed. And in fact, in 2021, as Lawrence calls a timeout there last, but Belmar and NBC actually had bye rounds because only 6 teams made the playoffs in those divisions that year. The 115s, Bordentown beat Belmar 27-0, and then the 140 division was probably the best youth football game that I've covered prior to this year. It was 22-16. Gloucester beat Northern Burlington in overtime at Gloucester, so it was kind of like a home game for the Mustangs. I do not believe they're in the WJYFL anymore. There are a couple teams that I've seen that have switched leagues. I mean, youth football, the consistency, with the clubs and the franchises, the organizations, they change from year to year. But there were 3 shutouts across those 4 games. One of them was a competitive shutout, and then those middle 2 games were all blowouts, 28-0 and 27-0. So the fact of the matter is that right now these games are exceeding my expectations of what we saw just based off of the last time I shared a booth with the WJYFL, which was 3 years ago, back in November of 2021. Handoff at the middle. Lawrence has some room. They're going to get back to maybe a gain of a yard. Lawrence, okay. Unless this is one of those divisions that has 4 timeouts. Could be. We never got that confirmed, so I assume they have 4 timeouts. The scoreboard read 3, so, when we got here this morning, we were like, we were talking to the folks and we were saying, both of these teams have 3 timeouts, so we never got that confirmed. So Lawrence now calls their last timeout. We'll try to fix that for the third game on the bottom bar of your screen.
Once again, for Lawrence.
3rd and 11. There's 24 seconds left as the Cardinals burn their last timeout. Got a man all alone in the backfield. They run it out of the Wildcat. No, they are going to pass from Malcolm, and I think that's an interception. Yes, it is. Pemberton interception, but we do have penalty markers down. Let's see what this is all about.
This was
All right, ineligible man downfield. Penalty is declined, and the interception will stand. You heard those stands get quite quiet.
Pemberton at 17 seconds. Then from the Lawrence 39-yard line.
So now Pemberton, after the interception, the second interception of the game, brings it to the 39th. 17 seconds remain. Pemberton will need to play up-tempo offense with 3 timeouts remaining. They fake it. They faked all of us out. They've got a first down. Man is still on his feet, dragging his way all the way into the red zone. Pemberton calls a timeout with 5 seconds remaining. You do not get much closer than that. On the rush by number 22, Trent Scott, and great Scott indeed as he picks up a handful of yards all the way up to the 24. Pemberton did call that timeout. They have 2 remaining. Like we said, at the break between the second and third game, we will add that 4th block of timeouts to the bottom bar of the screen, just usually because we work in high school football where you only have 3 timeouts and a half. Don't forget, stay tuned for the 3rd and 4th championship games of the weekend. It is Belmar and NBC, Northern Burlington County, at 2 o'clock, approximately 2 o'clock. And the 4th and final game of this championship Saturday between Belmar and Hopewell Valley. A 1 versus 2 battle. 5 seconds remain. They're at the 25. Never say never. A lot of crazy things can happen in the time between that clock ticking to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then to a final 0. Here at the end of this first half, sending a man in motion. They do hand it off to the right side. He's got some room. He's got some blockers behind him as the clock does hit 0. He will not get to the end zone. He gets to the 12-yard line. A substantial gain, but not enough to bring anyone to the end zone in the first half. We are all scoreless. It feels like we've got a pitcher's duel here at Paul Sixth High School. But for just the second time in DWB history, we have a scoreless first half. We'll be back in 10 minutes as it's Pemberton and the Hornets 0, Lawrence and the Cardinals 0. In life, the road ahead is full of possibilities, but to navigate it safely, you need the right skills. Harper Driving School is the premier driving school serving Gloucester, Salem, and Camden counties. With experienced instructors, many of whom are teachers in local schools, we are dedicated to your success and will help you master the road with confidence. With an over 95% success rate of students passing their road test on their first try, you know your student will be in good hands while embarking on a huge step of their young adult lives, all while avoiding the lines at the DMV and getting insurance discounts.
We chose Harper, and so should you.
Garden State Pet Center is an independently owned full-service pet store. Our specialty is promoting companionship between people and animals by providing the healthiest product choices available, including all-natural foods, supplements that support and relieve health issues, and innovative products for pet parents. Our goal is to provide our customers with a relaxing environment, and while we're not striving to be the biggest store on the East Coast, we're striving to be the best. No other pet store will make you feel at home like we do. At Garden State Pet Center, we view pets as members of the family. We don't believe in fast, high-pressure sales, but instead matching up the right pet with the right owners as you are making a lifelong commitment. Together with our team members, we would like your visit to our store to be both enjoyable and educational. Simply drop in and take a look around. View the birds, reptiles, small animals, toys, food, cages, and miscellaneous items. Learn of the services we have to offer and decide for yourself if this is the store you'd like to call your home away from home.
Victor Santucci, owner of Garden State Pet Center. Visit us today at 226 South Whitehorse Pike in Audubon, New Jersey. We're open 7 days a week for all of your pets.
1-0 Red Bank. Now here is Al D'Elia. The man they used to call Big Al has now slimmed down, and he still hits dingers. He went viral in 2018 for his catchphrase during the Little League World Series when he was introduced by the ESPN camera crews and was given his standard introduction. He said, "Hi, my name's Big Al, and I hit dingers." And that sentiment still holds true today. He had his first career high school home run versus Rumson Fairhaven in their opening game of the campaign last week. There's a swing and a miss, 0-2. But D'Elia, kind of a folk hero for baseball players who just want to hit the ball far and have fun while doing it. The poster child now is the poster big fella. Fly ball right center field. This is going to be a sac fly. Taken in by Terranova, and Big Al might not hit dingers, but he certainly drives in runs. It's 2-0. Excuse me, Goldberg is a shortstop tonight, but he had a .400 average in 2023 as a junior. A homer in each of his sophomore and junior campaigns, .331 career mark and a .430 career slugging percentage. And speaking of home runs, there's a fly ball to left, and it's gone! Devin Goldberg answers on opening day with a first pitch rocket to left, and it's 1-0 Bridgewater. We were just talking about the long ball, and he stomps on the plate, mobbed at home, and Goldberg, the leadoff man, with a swing of gold. It's 1-0.
Late switch for the visitors. Again, inside their 5. Oh, they're going to pitch this one back for the flea flicker. Touchdown, West! Oh, my goodness! Taking inspiration from Nick Foles and Trey Burton. I think they just pulled off the Philly special. That is the greatest touchdown I have ever seen. Well, maybe not the greatest touchdown I've ever seen. Maybe that's stretching a little bit, but one of the greatest touchdowns we've seen in a long time. And it's a tie game.
Will lead it off for the Senators. Chase Rollins, the player manager for CHP, gets it started with a ball upstairs, and we are underway in game 1. 1-0. That one is hit well out towards left, and it is gone off the top of the goalpost. Shane Adamski with a thunderous start to his playoff series. Second pitch of the game, a solo homer to left, and before I could even write the first name down in my scorecard, it's 1-0.
Welcome back to Paul Sixth High School here in Haddonfield, within literal walking distance of where I live in Audubon. It is a brisk Saturday afternoon as we have our second of 4 championship games here between the Pemberton Hornets and the Lawrence Cardinals. Of course, as we said, the last time we were involved with the WJYFL was 3 years ago, back in 2021 when we saw their championship weekend. Northern Burlington and Belmar joins us at 2 o'clock. Belmar and Hopewell Valley at the 160 division will be the final game of the night.
Belmar again. Take the nightcap facing 12 Valley.
Pemberton kicks this one away. Oh, and the ball gets muffed. The ball is back at the 25.
Special teams.
Gets all the way back to the 27.
Back to their own 28-yard line. First and 10 Cardinals to open up the first.
We were talking with the commissioner about, David is kind enough to work with us for the first 2 games. We've got some more folks coming in for the 2 and 4 o'clock games. It's funny because we were supposed to have a couple parking spots marked off in the back lot to reserve for media, and somebody straight up ran over the traffic cones. Because I looked out before the second game started, and I'm like, well, something's not right. You know, Russ marked off parking spots for us, and yeah, no, somebody ran over the traffic cones. Handoff over the middle to Rogers. Does not go too far at the line of scrimmage.
Still at the game. But again, Belmar EU team capping off its undefeated 2024 season. And to the victor go the spoils. It's a nice way of saying it ain't even close. Bring it down.
Second down and 10 after neutral gain on the carry. Balcom on the carry. Gets maybe 2 yards.
Yeah.
Like we said, after today, of course, we have our 2 broadcasts tonight. We have on Wednesday, December 4th, we've got more of the sim racing world as we travel virtually to Darlington Speedway for the throwback race of the simulated competitive online racing experience at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, December 4th. And then, of course, our all-important basketball selection show on Thursday, December 5th. And off to the right side, getting up to the 36. I think he's going to be a yard short on the carry by Rogers. They've had a handful of guys in the backfield. Not that they've passed the ball a whole lot, even though we have had 2 interceptions tonight. It's interesting to see how everything is shaping up for these 2 clubs. A handful of the rushes have been from Gavin Bruno, from Noble Rogers, of course, even some QB rushes from Zach Lampley, and the wideout number 82, that being Corey Balcom. He also has taken in some jet sweeps tonight. Rogers has it again on 4th and 1. The referees say yes, move the sticks for a first down for the Cardinals as they inch closer and closer. Like we said, this was just the second game in DWB football history to have a scoreless first half. The first one was this season, and it was back on October 5th. A matchup between Camden Eastside and Pennsauken. That game was scoreless until the last 90 seconds of the third quarter, and that was the first game in DWB football history to be scoreless at the end of the first half. We have plenty of changes and shifts on the offensive line. Almost the entire offensive line shifted, and now we've got a ball coming out. Pemberton's got it. Pemberton picks it up. The fumble recovery made in the backfield. It looks like by number 6, Aiden Jackson. And the Hornets force yet another turnover, whether it's a turnover on downs, an interception, or a fumble recovery like that. We have seen plenty of all varieties as this game remains scoreless near the midway juncture of the third quarter. QB in the shotgun. Perfect snap. Hands off to the right side. Getting forward up to the 36. And let's see what they've got in the tank here as they get to the 2nd-and-6 mark after a gain of 4 near the right hash, in between, perfectly in between the 38 and 37. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey state driving test with Harper Driving School pass on the first attempt. If you like those odds, you can book an appointment today at Suite E of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, right off of Lambs Road. They hand it off to the fullback. Whistles fly at the 34. As the rush made, it looked like
a little bit more real estate.
I couldn't tell who was on that one. Again, I apologize to all the Pemberton fans. The jerseys are definitely very, very hard to read. You can see there on the back, just very difficult to read. It's a very cool design, I will say, and probably if we were closer to ground level, they would be a lot easier to decipher. But I haven't had that luxury here this afternoon. Handoff up the middle again to number 0, Micah Holloway. And they're backed up to 4th and short now, so they are making progress, but let's see if it's enough to get over the hump.
More like a yard and a half. Once again in the throws to be second on matchups today on Championship Saturday's Mobile 6 High School.
Midway through the third quarter, 4:20 and counting. Still no score. The only score of this championship weekend happened about 4 minutes into the first game. Haven't had anything since. Ball came out again. Ball came out again. Lawrence has their hands in the air, and Lawrence will retake the possession as the turnover adds another victim. The turnover machine takes another kind. And yet another fumble recovery keeps this game scoreless for now, as Lawrence, in their own territory, very solidly in their own territory, will start this drive, this unexpected drive from their own 31.
Is fine, and see big calls.
And off to the right side, immediately getting swallowed up in the back on the carry. Believe that was Rogers on the carry. That was Noble Rogers on the carry. A loss of 2 brings up 2nd and 12 from the 29. I mean, as this game goes longer and longer without a score, that long-term philosophy of whoever scores first wins is becoming more and more prominent, because if you get the first score of the game, you are in the driver's seat. And that sounds like an obvious thing to say, But it's one thing for Belmar in that 90-pound game to score 4 minutes in and then have the entire game for Lawrence to come back, but falling up short. This, or excuse me, coming up short. In this game, that that motif is kind of turned on its head. But now we've got a rush to the right side by Balcom. He stays inbounds when he was taken out. Let's introduce some Lawrence players while we're at it. Lawrence coached by Larry Green, Lewis Balcom, Quarren Rogers, and Justin Lampley. The 110 Lawrence team is as follows: Amir Parsons Abdullah, Andrew Ritchie Carter, Anthony Littlejohn, Aubrey Charles, Aiden Grant, Cassius Utsi, Corey Balcom, Eduardo Cruz, Gavin Bruno, Gino Dulcie Hamilton, Harrison Marin, Isaiah Bangura, Jachai Genove, Jalil Jenkins, Judah Caesar, Justin Hoyle, Justin Singh, and Balcom rushes up the middle as a flag comes flying in. Kendrick Williams, Kenzo Benton, Kari Fenderson, Matthew Shalaheda, Nicholas Landaverdi, Noble Rogers, Rashawn Bailey, Sadma Johnson, Tymir Cherry, Wade Williams, Zaire Campbell, Zachary Lampley, and Zavon Silas. It'll be 4th down. But Pemberton having a discussion with the referees. I think they're deciding whether to decline the penalty. All right, it is a false start against Lawrence.
Yeah.
So I apologize. It is still 3rd down. And then for the Pemberton roster, you have Tristan Bowden, Amari Carradine, Rasul Kolak, Gunnar Garin, Caleb Golightly, Desmond Harris, Brandon Hicks, DJ Herod, Micah Holloway, AJ Hopkins, Aiden Jackson, Roman Jackson, Jalen Lambert, Ronald Lugo, Kaysen McGinnis, Hunter Meller, Hayden Meller, Dylan Moore, Logan Parker, Aubrey Parks, Carson Reger, Jaden Sagau, Trent Scott, Vinny Segalini, Billy Sims, Mark Stillwell, Tristan Tangeman, Jordan Van Dunk, and Landon Wimes. 3rd down and long after the false start penalty against the Cardinals. They send a man in motion. Handoff at the middle finds some space. He is on his feet, a swarm of everybody in on this tackle. Finally taken down around the 26. 1st down markers all the way up at the 41. So this makes an interesting situation for Lawrence, as they're not even within 10 yards of the first. It's going to be still 4th and 15, even after the small gain. Not getting much of anything on it. They will opt to punt. Interesting that they're running the clock for this punt option.
23 seconds remaining.
So Lawrence will come back on defense after they were 15 yards short of a first. As we said, the 2 other broadcasts this afternoon, Belmar and NBC, Northern Burlington County, that's at 2 o'clock. And this game right now is looking like it's going to be on time. And then the 4 o'clock game between Belmar and Hopewell Valley, the Bulldogs of Central Jersey. Pemberton sends a man in motion. He's in trouble. He's on his feet, though. He's back at midfield. He's back to the line of scrimmage, and he is wrestled to the ground, hit in all directions. On the carry by Pemberton's number 0, Micah Holloway. That will wrap up the third frame of this Pemberton and Lawrence championship. It is anybody's game because nobody has scored. It's a defensive duel here at PVI 0-0. For the first time since 2021, we're here at the Paul Six High School for the WJYFL Championships. And I should say 3 years ago we were at Gloucester, where there was a heater in the press box. We did not get such luxuries this afternoon, but 2nd and 6 at the start of the fourth quarter. Pemberton at the opposing 44. Another big loss. That'll be a loss of 6 yards. We'll see where they mark it on forward progress, but this right now is looking like, I mean, this game, there is nobody who has an advantage. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I literally mean that in nobody knows who's going to win because there is no sign of any team being better than the other team. At least in Belmar's case, they could back it up with the 9-0 record and say, well, you know, look where we are now. But in this situation, a matchup between a 5 seed and a 3 seed right now, this is anybody's game, and we might not even end this thing in regulation if I'm being real here. And off to the right side, finds some space. On 3rd and long, they now bring it all the way up to the 44. Fourth and 7. Finding some space. First down markers up at the 36, and that is short by 2-ish yards. This will be another turnover on downs as these guys are not getting anything done. I mean, I don't even know if this game is going to end in regulation, to be quite honest with you. I have never seen a game this confusing just because I think one team got into the red zone one time, and that was it. And then it got snuffed out. If you're just joining us, 8:07 left in the fourth. As a turnover on downs brings Lawrence back into the limelight. Handoff from Lampley. He gets some blockers, but it's not going to get too far. Gain of 2-ish.
the 1 yard line. Second and 8 for Lawrence. It's Chili Willie out there today at TBI.
7:35 and counting. I mean, this is a game where you don't really know what to say just because nothing has really been done. There's no score to back this up. There's no, there's no sign of anybody getting ahead. And I feel like it could go down to a goal line stand or even overtime to determine a championship. Of course, we saw overtime 3 years ago, the last time we were here. The final game of the weekend, Gloucester and Northern Burlington, that ended 22-16 in overtime. It's 3rd down and 6.
And we have a timeout on the field with 6:34.
Timeout is called by Lawrence. We have our first timeout of the half, and it comes with 6:34 left in the 4th. We'll be right back after this. All right. Still 0-0 here in the 4th. 6:30 remaining as Lawrence coming out of a timeout. Like we said, on the bottom bar of your screen, both teams have 4 timeouts. We just haven't updated it for the youth football slate. Wasn't an issue in the first game of the day, but this time around it's come up a little bit more.
Lawrence is going to give a punt option.
Lawrence will pick up a punt option here.
Got time to reset the sticks for a Pemberton 1st and 10 from their own 41-yard line.
So Pemberton now back on offense at the 41. There's just not a lot to comment on this game. I mean, it's been defensive led, but we've had so many punt options, 2 interceptions, a handful of fumble recoveries. It has been wild. Oh my goodness, the ball came out again. Lawrence has it. A 1-play drive ends in a turnover. How about that? You are kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. That is something else. So 5:45 left as Pemberton turns the ball over before they could even get started. And everyone is, well, almost everyone is standing on that Lawrence sideline. Their cheerleaders are having fun. We've got folks clapping along, jumping up and down. The Pemberton side is getting loud as well, as now they have to defend this ball again. We've got penalty markers on the carry by Rogers. Rogers out to the left side. He's up to the 30. If this penalty doesn't come back, it's a first down. Pemberton is saying it's coming back. This may be a hold or something.
They can see what the officials call.
Of course, unlike high school football, there's no white cap to specifically call the penalties. Nobody to differentiate that as kind of the captain of the crew. Looks like the way this is going, they will walk this back. Actually, hold on a second. False start. Okay. The way he was walking back, I thought it might have been something more like a hold, but now that I think about it, that whistle was blown as soon as the snap came out. So now they're back to 1st and 15. They are at the 46. Again, halfway through this fourth quarter, and just nothing there. Getting somewhere out of it. They get back to 10 yards of a first.
Our team and the Northern Burlington teams are in the house. Championship match.
I was just going to say, it was just noted. Belmar and Northern Burlington are here. They're getting ready, but they might have extra warm-up time if this game runs to overtime. Now, the overtime rules are very similar to high school and college, where a coin flip is made. The team who wins the coin toss and decides to go first will start at the 25-yard line on the opposing side. Another rush, this time to Balcom, number 82. Again, getting some more traction there, but still up at the 38-yard line. It is 3rd and 8. The first down markers up at the 31. So nobody's getting any traction. It's not that these teams are playing a bad game, but nobody can get a breakaway. I think the longest rush of the game has been 30 yards, and even then that was a glaring exception. Don't forget, after this game is over, we are not running one continuous broadcast. All 4 games are linked separately. You can go to the Dan Wilkins Broadcasting YouTube channel, go to the live tab, and you'll be able to find the game that you're looking for based off of the thumbnail and the title of the video, as in 125-pound championship. Balcom again is the carry. He has some blockers, but he's not going to get anywhere with it. 4th down. I mean, right now the strategy for Pemberton right now is you turn the ball over and then you try to maybe just drive the ball down the field as fast as you can, because you've got 3 minutes left.
Each game is being live streamed separately.
There's plenty of football that could remain. It's incredible to see how this game has been turned on its head so many times. Timeout called by Lawrence. We'll take a quick break. This game still tied 0-0 near the end of regulation. Hold on, I got to call you back. Handoff over the middle on 4th down, falls short. A turnover on downs. And now Pemberton has a chance to play hero for the fans in front of us in this home grandstand. Two minutes, 42 seconds remaining. This crowd is almost entirely standing, as the 110-pound championship could go down to this. Handoff gets to the 36.
8 now from the Hornets. Again, depending on
A gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Now a rush to the left side for Pemberton. He's not going to have any room. He gets squashed in the backfield, and he did not get out of bounds. I mean, Pemberton has the timeouts. They have that as their advantage, but I mean, I don't think there's any way this game doesn't go to overtime unless there's some crazy miracle that happens. I don't know if there's any scenario that this game doesn't go to overtime just because of how indifferent and I don't want to say disadvantaged, but I mean, this game is just so close in the final 100 seconds that, like we said, ever since the opening kickoff, there has been no clear favorite. There have been some instances like Lawrence got into the red zone at the end of the first quarter, but then the ball got turned over. They weren't able to score.
I had a bunch of chain, but
So here we go. Third and 12 after the timeout called. There's a minute and 40 left. The final 100 seconds of regulation. Pemberton is 70 yards away from the end zone. Some confusion, some misdirection, and a self-trip up at the 27-yard line for a loss of 3. Now it's 4th down and long. If you're Pemberton here, do you just try to stall this game into overtime? Because unless you get a 75-yard rush, or I should say a 73-yard rush up to 27, Lawrence will call a timeout there last. But, I mean, I just don't see a scenario. I don't see any scenario where, Pemberton gets a 73-yard rush. And I'm not saying that as a slight. I'm saying that as a realistic observation that we haven't seen any rush over 30 yards in this game. So referees having a quick discussion as Lawrence and Pemberton going back into their respective huddles. There is a minute and 11 on the clock. I mean, this is where we're at right now. It is no score. Let's reveal that scoreboard a little more. No score, a minute left here in the press box. I mean, it is something else what we're seeing this afternoon. Some of these games have so much intensity out of the high-scoring bunch, like your 35-34s, but this is intense for a different reason, just for the fact that nobody has been able to get anything going. Lawrence will take advantage of the punt option. Pemberton will punt for 25. And I mean, right now, I think that shows by Pemberton that is their way of saying that, yeah, we're going to try to just shoot for overtime and hope that the cards land in our favor. Because I think that it would have been even riskier to try to go for it on 4th and long and then, you know, just end up running into that situation. And it would have been a lot easier for Lawrence to score if they're not backed up 25 yards. He is stopped behind the line of scrimmage on top of the Eagle at the 50, and he's back at the 49. Under a minute in the 4th, as still 0-0 between these two clubs. I thought it was going to be at the 49, but after forward progress, they deliberate and make this at the 50. Lawrence, 2nd and 13. First down marker is up at the 37. Everyone is standing here at Paul 6. He gets wrapped up in the backfield. The first time was unsuccessful. The second time is, as Malcolm is unable to get any forward progress. They get knocked back another 5 yards. And with 7 seconds left, Pemberton doesn't want to call a timeout. Lawrence doesn't have any left, and that is the end of regulation. Pemberton decided to keep the clock rolling, and we are going to overtime. 40 minutes of WJYFL football was not enough, and instead, these guys will go back into their huddles, and a coin flip will ensue, as we'll have our high school/college rule overtime coming up next, right after this. For the first time since October 21st, 2023, we have DWB overtime in football. The last time at any level that we had an overtime game was Audubon-Paulsboro. The last game of the regular season, the DWB fan vote game, that game was 7-7 in overtime. Paulsboro got an overtime touchdown to win it. 14-7 was the final. And this game is the first in Dan Wilkins Broadcasting football history to be scoreless at the end of regulation. Quite an interesting feat, to say the least, as Pemberton and Lawrence meeting at midfield, as we said, and we'll repeat it again. It's a lot like college and high school overtime rules, where a coin flip happens. So what it'll be is that Lawrence, it looks like, I couldn't tell exactly. I think Lawrence is going to get first possession, but it'll be at the 25. Each team, as you see on the bottom of your screen, gets one timeout per series. And then after that, I should say, if the defense scores at any point, it runs untimed, which is why the time bar is off on the bottom side, bottom right corner of your screen. So there is not much to worry about in terms of time. I think what the Belmar and Northern Burlington people are worried about is that their game is not starting on time because it's 1:40, and the next game of the day is scheduled for 2 p.m. So got an interesting conundrum here as Lawrence will have possession for the first overtime. The grandstands are shaking here in Haddonfield. A rush to the right side by Noble Rogers. He gets up to the 20. I mean, that's the thing is that right now, I mean, this game kind of stalled out so quickly. You almost needed to force them to move the ball forward in order for any progress to be made. He got 3 yards. And it is now up to the 22.
The other team's going to push one time out for possession.
Gain of 3. Here we go. And off to the right side. That one is on his feet for Balcom. He got out of bounds. Not that it matters because there's no timing concerns. Now they're up to 16. 16-yard line. They did not get a first down. It is 3rd and 1.
Everybody saw the Georgia Tech game last night. They went through 8 overtime.
3rd and 1 from the 16-yard line. Lawrence making some very late shifts on the offensive line. Oh, handoff over the middle. He found a perfect gap in the offensive line, and he barrels through. The Cardinals pick up a first down, a much-needed first down. It's not enough to drop the sticks entirely. That first down marker is going to go all the way up to the 1.5-yard line. They are as close as ever as anyone has been all night. Some movement on the line. Some flags coming in. Let's see what this is about. Pemberton's pointing at that offensive line about maybe some jumps.
And that's it. Paul?
False start on Lawrence.
About 16, roughly. All coming back to the Feather feeling?
You're fine, I got it. 1st and 15. False start for Lawrence.
First 15 here for the Clark.
Here on a brisk Saturday afternoon, we've got a fun slate of afternoon football. Belmar and Northern Burlington will follow.
And Belmar and Northern Burlington.
Both of these teams have been here for a little while.
Here goes. Move on.
Handoff on 1st and 15 will fall short. Like we said, if the defense scores at any point, the game is automatically over, and the other team will not get another possession. But is anybody going to score? I saw a stat from CBS about the most overtimes in a game in FBS history. I fell asleep after the first overtime between Georgia and Georgia Tech last night. The most was 3 years ago. Illinois and Penn State had 9 overtimes in 2021. There have been a handful of games that have reached 7 OTs. Eastern Kentucky and Bowling Green in 2022. Texas A&M and LSU, the famous 74-72 game in 2018. Western Michigan and Buffalo, as Lawrence calls their timeout. That was a 71-68 game. Then there were a few more. North Texas and FIU in 2006. Arkansas versus Kentucky in 2003, and Arkansas and Ole Miss in 2001. So Lawrence got tripped up in the backfield. A timeout is called. It's second and long.
Second down from the 1.
Setting a man in motion. That is a high snap. They're going to pass from the right side. It doesn't find anybody. The pass made by the wideout, number 82. That being Corey Balcom. I'm not sure who was the intended receiver because it didn't really fall in anybody's territory. But Pemberton working on the sideline, the center with their quarterback number 12, Hunter Meller, presumably a family member of Jimmy Meller, the head coach. It is a cold Saturday, but there's red hot competition right off the presses as no score in the first overtime. Pitched back to Balcom. Balcom looks to throw on the sweep, and it's intercepted. Pemberton's going to try to race this one back. They will not be stopped yet. They went with a jet sweep fake. Remember, if the defense scored, it was an automatic win. However, the Hornets pick up an interception, and the home crowd is loving it. As here in the first overtime, they'll turn everything on its head and bring this right back to square one. So Pemberton, I thought they were going to flip fields here, but they will stay on this one side of the field for overtime. Remember, each team gets one timeout per series. They're at the 25-yard line. And Pemberton, after a crucial interception, now has the ball back. That gets stopped for a loss of 2. So they're now back at the 26-yard line. Again, this game still scoreless. Hornets with the flag bearing on the near sideline. Lawrence still waving their banner. From the 26, after a 1-yard loss, and Lawrence jumped. We saw movement on basically the entire defensive line. You saw the defensive end move. You saw basically everybody move. And that will move everybody up 5 yards. A 1-yard loss on the last play. As look at this Pemberton crowd. They're getting hyped up by the coaches in all black on the near sideline. 2nd and 7 now after the false start. Hand off. Falls short. And some late shoves after the tackle.
This will bring up and 3.
Again, the flag waving on the inner sideline.
Both team flags on the sides of the field.
Feels like we're watching a World Cup soccer match here with all the flags. And speaking of flags, they add another. Pemberton is excited. They think that we saw movement on the defensive line, and they did. They're going to get a first down. It was 3rd and 4. How about that? Against all odds, they were able to figure that out.
And somebody just cat.
Like we said, this was the first game in DWB football history to be scoreless after regulation and just the second to go to overtime. The first down brings us to a very similar situation that Lawrence was in their first possession of overtime. The first down marker's at the 2. The possession starts, it looks like the 2.5-yard line. So they're right in between the 12 and the 13. QB in the shotgun. Meller. Hand off to the left side. Finding some space. Pemberton's on their feet. And they're up to the 9-yard line. A great philosopher once said, incremental progress is still good progress. They don't need a big breakaway here. This is, shockingly enough, the first time Pemberton was in the red zone all day. There was only one team and one possession in which anybody got into the red zone. I mean, I have never seen a football game this even and this just structurally sound in all of my years of covering high school and youth football. They are inside the 10. Lawrence, movement, no flags. Handoff, a herd of everyone trying to trudge forward, and the whistle will blow at the 6-yard line. This game started over 2 hours ago as Lawrence and Pemberton making their lone championship appearance this year, Lawrence in their second of 2. And Lawrence saw a heartbreaker in the first 90-pound game, a 7-0 loss to Belmar, where the only score was in the first 4 minutes. And for the first time since 10:15 this morning, we might see anyone in the end zone. Handoff gets wrapped up in the backfield on 3rd down. That's not going to go.
Yes. We're at 4th down now, ladies and gentlemen. Pemberton still on offense.
Holy goodness. It comes down to this in this overtime session. And for that other game that went to overtime back on October 21st, 2023, that ended in the first overtime. That ended in like 5 plays. Pemberton calls a timeout. They use their only timeout of the overtime session. As we'll be right back on DWB. I was going to say what time it was, but there's no time on the scoreboard. It's an untimed session. We'll be right back. 4th and 4. The sun is shining. The helmets are reflecting. We've got movement. And a flag comes in. Where is it going to go? Lawrence wants it to go the other way, and it does. That really could have gone either way. I wasn't sure who had the first movement because everybody moved. Once one guy starts going, the entire offensive line joins him, and it's a matter of a split-second decision. So now a false start convolutes and dilutes the situation even more. 4th and 9 in the first overtime session. Pitched back to the right side. Some room for the Hornets. Diving towards the 10. He's on his feet. Nothing yet. And that's going to be short. I think he got down to 5 or 6. And assuming there's no penalty markers, they will drop the sticks. And we will go to a second overtime. Here from Paul Sixth. The ghost of Kirby Smart must have visited Paul Six this afternoon as we go to a double overtime here at PVI. We'll be right back.
To get another shot. Get back-to-back solid offense loading up here for the second overtime.
Overtime number 2, Pemberton will retain possession as still nobody has scored. Oh, ball is notched. They sent a man in motion. Not going to get back there. Loss of 3.
Ball comes out to about the 28-yard line.
That is a loss of 3 yards.
Second game now for the Hornets.
Of course, this place was jumping just a few days ago on Wednesday for the WIP Turkey Bowl, in which Camden Catholic fell to the host Paul Sixth Eagles 42-16. I think the parents in the stands might hope for a game like that after this.
Gets back to the
Tackles at the line of scrimmage after a 3-yard loss on the fumble. I think he got a yard back at the 27. I mean, this is incredible. I don't think I've seen anything like this before. We're nearing the 2 o'clock mark. You need probably about 20 minutes for both teams to warm up, figuratively and literally. Also, would like to thank everyone for tuning in so far on this Small Business Saturday. I'd like to thank Russ of the WJYFL and the entire crew for being with us on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And a false start against Pemberton. This is going to knock them outside of everything here. They're at the 31. It's going to be 3rd and maybe 18. So not a favorable situation for Pemberton, but Lawrence is loving it. We saw somebody almost flopping on the defensive line trying to sell that notion. Pemberton and Lawrence tied at 0. There was only one team in regulation, which was Lawrence. They were in the red zone at the end of the first quarter and the start of the second, did not score as they fumbled the ball away. And nobody reached the red zone until they literally put the ball at the 25, as the overtime rules dictate. 3rd and long after a false start. They pitch it back to the right side, finding some space. He is up to the 25 again, back to square one where they started, and they'll have 4th and 10. Of course, when we got here this morning at 9 a.m., it was a tropical 28 degrees, and it will warm up to a blistering 38 this afternoon. Makes me excited for basketball season, which it should be noted that we will have our basketball selection show for high school basketball here in South Jersey on Thursday, December 5th. Show starts at 5:30 from the DWB headquarters. 4th and 10 here in the second overtime, the first session of the second overtime. Sending a man in motion. Oh, the ball comes out as the jet sweep did not go as planned on the rush to number 42, or excuse me, that would be 22, Trent Scott. And they will switch sides as the first drive of the second overtime does not go. And we'll stay on the air as Lawrence will start again from the 25. This broadcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Garden State Pet Center. It feels like with overtime, we need to go overtime on advertisements. Visit 7 days a week to keep your pet happy and healthy with the most organic food products available in South Jersey, along with toys, cages, accessories, and much, much more. Going over to the left. Balcom has room. And it does falls down at the 20. Yeah, I was thinking about earlier. I was thinking, a couple days ago, I was like, man, basketball season's coming up really quick. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go inside of these gyms just yet. And I've been standing here since 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'm ready for basketball season, I think, after today. Of course, the New Jersey High School State Finals. A lot of them were last night at MetLife Stadium. So yes, for those of you at home, Toms River North and Glassboro have won more games at MetLife than the New York Giants this year. A rush to the left falls for a loss of 3. I don't know if I've ever seen something like this. This is incredible. We were talking about earlier about in the game that ended 7-0 in favor of Belmar. We said, well, when it comes down to who made less mistakes, it was Belmar, and Belmar scored first and won the game. Well, the motif and the notion is a little bit different in this second game because nobody's gotten any momentum. Lawrence had one red zone appearance in the entire regulation period. Pemberton had 0. They never got outside of the 30. They never got past that. The first time they were in the red zone was in overtime. This has been a game of incredible magnitude. The fans that have remained in the cold and in the wind are standing as the rush to number 0, that being Gavin Bruno, falls short, but they are within 5 yards of the first. First down marker is at the 15.
Points for us. Third down.
4th and 5. If this play fails, we will go to an unprecedented third overtime. They send a man in motion. We've got flags. We've got a whole bunch of confusion all over. He's backed up to the 30. He's being pushed out and scampered out to his own team's sideline. And I doubt this flag will change much after the carry by number 9, Zaire Campbell. Belmar and Northern Burlington, hold on here, penalties declined. I didn't catch what the penalty was. Full start, okay. So if we take a look over at the far side of the field here, Northern Burlington and Belmar, both teams are lining the fence basically together. There's like a foot of separation between the Belmar teams and the Northern Burlington teams. They are watching this game unfold. They have warmed up probably to the extent that they need to, and they're just waiting for this game to start. And they're waiting for this game to end. This is incredible. I don't think I've ever seen a game this two-sided. And I mean that literally. I mean, nobody has gotten ahead. Nobody has even been given the opportunity to get ahead. It's almost impossible. We are going to the third overtime. As Pemberton getting ready to go, we'll stay on the air. This broadcast is brought to you by Harper Driving School. Over 90% of students who take their New Jersey State driving test with Harper pass on the first attempt. If you like those odds, you can book an appointment today at Suite E of the Total Turf Complex in Pittman, right off of Lambs Road. The first play of the third overtime is up the middle. He'll get about 5 yards.
Second try. Again. As it just happened.
First play of the third overtime goes for 5 yards. Second and 5 from the 20. Now another, we have a fake. Even the 10-year-olds are playing some smart football. They get another 5 yards up to the 15. This is close, whether it's down or not. First down, Pemberton. The flag bearer got excited, as he should. Pemberton is the closest to the end zone they have ever been tonight. The first down marker is at the 4-yard line as they were barely able to inch across the line for a first down. Pemberton solidly in the red zone. Pemberton, the 5 seed, going into this matchup. Again, handoff to the right side. Doesn't get too far, carried by Jalen Lambert. Some scrambles at the end of the whistle.
Play started the 2-yard gain, so second and 8.
Of course, last year in the 2023 playoff bracket, Haddon Township fell to Burlington 14-0 in a 3-versus-4 game. In fact, 2022 was the last time a 1 seed appeared in the 105-pound championship. That was Belmar Northern Burlington 2 years ago, which was a 1-versus-2 game. This is a 3-versus-5. But right now, it's 0-versus-0 here in the third overtime. Second and 8. Handoff to Lambert to the right side. He misdirects. He's up the middle. He's up to about the 10 now. This game has been running for 2+ hours, which is an anomaly for youth football. The trophy awaits. Sitting right now at about the 10-yard line, the commissioner, Russ, right near it. And one of these two teams, whether it's the black and green or the black and red, will hoist it. But nobody knows yet who it will be. And remember, if Pemberton scores, Lawrence will still get another opportunity. Another handoff will get to about the 5-yard line. I mean, they are They are making more progress than anyone has this entire overtime series. I mean, we've seen out of the 3 overtimes so far, this is the first one where anyone even has a prayer of scoring. Pemberton returns to the huddle. It's 4th and 1 from the 6-yard line. First down marker is at the 5. Another 3 feet, and Pemberton can drop the sticks in this 3rd overtime. An incredible game from start to finish. Neither team has touched the blue and white end zone, bearing the name Eagles of the high school that hosts this tournament. Another handoff, a fake to the left side. I think they definitely got it on forward progress. Pemberton agrees, and the officials agree. First down, Hornets. The Hornets have a first down, and they are 12 feet from the end zone and from a chance of stomping out Lawrence and taking a championship. Lawrence coming into this game 7-1. Lawrence won their regular season matchup in week 3 versus this crew 13-7. Pemberton calls their first timeout, and their only timeout of the overtime session. We'll be right back in OT 3-0-0. Sticks are dropped. Lawrence and their secondary are backed up to the goal line. First and goal from the 4. They faked off a couple handoffs in this overtime session as Pemberton returns from the timeout. They're going to barrel. They're at the goal line. They're at the goal line. No. They didn't get it. Excuse me. Listen to this crowd. There are plenty of emotions here in the huddle. Here we go. Goal line, diving forward. Touch. No. Yes. Touchdown. 10. The rush from 3 yards out bears our first score in almost 4 hours. And the Pemberton crew coming from 40-plus minutes out of Paul 6 to travel on the road and take the lead 6-0. We finally have our first score. The chains are broken. The stalemate is erased. And Pemberton will have another chance at a PAT. And Lawrence now has a chance to even the score. But it's the first time tonight that we have seen anyone embark into the blue and white end zone you see before you on the left side of your screen. I have never seen anything like this before. 1 overtime, even that we've only seen once in DWB football history. That was Audubon Paulsboro last year. This was the first to go to a second, nay, to a 3rd overtime. Absolutely berserk what's happening here at PVI. on a brisk Saturday. The players, they must be cold. The fans, they certainly seem like they're cold. They've been pacing around the grandstands for the past 2.5 hours. They pass for the PAT, and they got it. That is huge. They absolutely needed that. Remember, at this level, the passing PAT counts for 2. Because there's really no PATs, as in the kicking sense. A rush is worth 1, and a pass is worth 2. Pemberton rolled the dice, and there are not 3 sevens across the board, but there's an 8 and a 0. We'll be right back as the third overtime results in a Pemberton score. They're 4 downs away from the championship. Pemberton 8, Lawrence 0. The instructions from the coach is for everyone to stand. And in the third overtime, a handoff immediately gets met in the backfield. The carry by number 5, that being Noble Rogers. Well, he got met by a very noble defensive line. Look at the signals from the sideline. You can't get any clearer than that. Stand, everyone, stand. Pemberton is standing on the side closest to us. This has been an incredible game, and finally, it feels like a monumental weight off of your chest when a team has finally scored. We've got penalty markers on the rush by Lawrence. He's got some room up to the 23. The rush was made by number 0, Gavin Bruno, but the penalty is on Lawrence. False start against Lawrence. What's interesting is that I'm surprised that usually at the high school level, when there's a false start, they whistle the play dead immediately. So I'm surprised that they're letting these plays kind of develop when they'll be coming back either way, unless it was an illegal shift, because I believe the false start and the illegal shift signals are the same. But in an illegal shift, the play continues as normal and they walk it back. A false start, play is whistled dead immediately. It is 2nd and 18, it looks like. Yeah, it's 2nd and 19. They're at the 34. First down markers at the 15. They're looking to send Bruno in motion. Lawrence, coached by Larry Green, Lucas Balcom, Quarren Rogers, and Justin Lampley. Unbelievable. Pemberton leads 8-0 in the third overtime. Lawrence calls their timeout of the overtime session. We'll be right back. Go ahead. 8-0. Listen to this crowd. Second and very long. Lawrence sending a different man in motion this time around. They got to get their coach off the sideline. Dropping back. More flags. They go for a triple option. 10 feet on it. The flag will not matter, and the Pemberton Hornets are 110-pound champions after a relentless, unforgiving, and downright Diabolical 3 overtimes. The Hornets win it. Hornets win it. Pemberton picks up a win as they take home a championship over Lawrence. As what a show! Belmar and Northern Burlington can finally take the field, and we can breathe. Pemberton with an incredible showcase. The Hornets, who have traveled over 40 minutes to be present here at Paul Sixth High School, were scoreless at the half, scoreless at the third, scoreless at the fourth, and it took until the last breath of the third overtime to see a winner. We will be back on the air in just a few minutes. We'll see when they decide to start this 125-pound game. Belmar is ready to go near sideline if you're just waiting on us for that game. Don't forget, all 4 games this afternoon are pre-scheduled on YouTube, and they are separate broadcasts. So we will end this live stream, and we'll be back at you for game 3 of 4 in this wonderful weekend matinee between the Northern Burlington Greyhounds and the Belmar Purple Eagles. From our entire crew here at DWB, Pemberton 8, Lawrence 0 in DWB's first ever triple overtime. Have a good one, folks.